This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for building your brand and growing your business online. Stand out with a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything. Your products, content you create, and even your time. Usually we hate it when someone copies another person's art blatantly. If I had a nickel for every time I've seen furries on Twitter get their tail in a ruffle about another furry artist plagiarizing their work, I could buy my own fursuit by now. But the one place where you can literally take another artist's work line for line, bar for bar, and it's generally seen as flattery instead of thievery is with cover songs. Cover songs are when an artist takes another artist's song and creates their own rendition of it. It's generally seen as paying homage or respect to the original artist, but it's also a really cool way in which an artist can show their own artistic influences, as well as show how they can adapt that music into their own style. Which is why today we are talking about the best cover songs that you haven't heard. I wanted to make this list because there is a lot of media on the internet about cover songs, but what I found is that they tend to highlight the same few cover songs again and again and again. We all know about Jeff Buckley's cover of Hallelujah. Watch Mojo has already told us how great Johnny Cash's rendition of Hurt is, and of course we've all had an uncle who's recommended us Disturbed's cover of Sound of Silence. I wanted to make this list to highlight some lesser known cover songs that I think are worth your time. These are more unique, lesser known cover songs that not only do justice to the original, but also reinterpret it in its own original way. So if the cover song that you think is the greatest cover song of all time is not on this list, that's probably the point. I'm trying to add new songs to your playlist rather than just validate songs that you probably already know. One other note is that I'm also trying to steer away from these stripped down acoustic coffee house cover songs that are very popular right now. If you go on Spotify and you look up cover songs, you'll find hundreds of playlists with hundreds of songs that are all just stripped down acoustic covers of very popular songs. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but with this list, I'm trying to find more original covers that reinterpret songs in more original ways. I also want to note that this list is unranked, though I've split it into two sections. One are cover songs that I think are great, and the second section are 5 cover songs that are my personal favorites that I think are perfect. With that being said, enough of the yapping, and let's just get right into it. The first cover song I want to talk about is Into the Black by the Chromatics. The original song, Hey Hey My, otherwise called Into the Black, is a folk noise rock song by country legend Neil Young. This song has a lot of country twang, but it also is this overdriven, noisy, distorted banger. It's a very upbeat, hard-hitting song, but it has these very contrasting, beautiful, retrospective lyrics about famous rock musicians passing away. It's an interesting contrast to have this very upbeat, fun song that has these very solemn, reflective lyrics. Honestly, this song was quoted by Kurt Cobain in the letter he wrote before he passed away. And so sort of since the song's original release, it sort of has this very solemn legacy in rock music, which I think the Chromatics definitely took into perspective and tried to honor in this cover. The next cover is not upbeat. Instead, it's slowed down, this very haunting, atmospheric vibe. I think what makes this cover so good is how it honors and takes into account the song's legacy in retrospect.
She's well acquainted with the touch of the velvet hand, like a lizard on a window pane.
The Beatles are no stranger to having their songs covered, but what I think the Breeders' rendition of this particular Beatles song so great is as they make it feel not like a Beatles cover, but rather its own original song. They incorporate heavy bass, hard-hitting drums of Britt Walford, noisy alternative rock, grungy guitar, and I think what really locks it in is Kim Deal's disenfranchised, unentertained vocals, which all of this combined have probably tricked a lot of people who haven't heard this song before into thinking it's a Breeders' original song. That's what I think makes a cover song really, really great, is when you can't even identify who the song might originally be from. Wild Horses was originally written by the Rolling Stones, and it's the folksy ballad that you would 100% expect from a rock band in the early 70s. The 90s alternative rock band, The Sundays, reinterprets the beautiful introspective lyrics of this song into something more ethereal that you could only get from a dream pop band. Beautiful vocals from Harriet Wheeler really make this song so special. And this song is also not the case of completely shifting the vibe of the original song. Instead, it's more adding something to it. And it takes it from this country song to like sort of this yearning, very beautiful anthem.
You told me you loved me, baby. You said you'd be coming back this way again, baby.
Superstar was originally written by the 70s pop duo The Carpenters. The original song is this swooning, dramatic, romantic song about longing to be with a lover who is far away. The original by The Carpenter features these lush orchestral instrumentations as well as these beautiful horns that come in, though there is this sort of dark and sad undertone to the song. Hard to imagine Sonic Youth taking such a lushly orchestrated song and making it their own, but they're able to do this really effectively by leaning into sort of that sad, dark undertone. And it's very creepy, it's very eerie, and Thurston Moore's vocals are in this sort of static, broken microphone. Feedback rings out heavy in the Sonic Youth rendition. The original is this very sincere song about yearning for a lover, and Sonic Youth takes it and makes it sound like it was actually written from the perspective of a serial killer.
Well, I've been out walking. I don't do too much talking these days.
These Days was originally written by Jackson Browne, a folk rock star from the 70s, and his song These Days is this rugged, twangy, introspective ballad about reminiscing on life and old lovers. It's the last song that you would ever think would catch the attention of Velvet Underground alumni and German avant-garde gothic singer Nico. It's also the last song you'd think she'd really nail a cover of. She creates entirely new instrumentation where she has created this very beautiful, delicate, graceful guitar plucking on it. And then she also adds these really magnificent strings throughout the song. Her rendition is very graceful and poignant, which is just such a far cry from this original, very, very rugged song.
She's a model and she's looking good.
Some of the most early innovators in electronic music are German band Kraftwerk. And one of their most well-known songs is The Model, which is the silly synth pop electronic song about having a crush on a model. The song was very innovative for its time, being an early electronic pop song, and it's really interesting how Big Black have reinterpreted it. Big Black is an early industrial noise rock band from Chicago. They've taken this lighthearted early electronic banger and turned it into a brutal, crushing, screeching cacophony of perversion. Their rendition of the song is disgusting, it's loud, and it just sounds evil. Both songs hold their own as having important places in music history. Of course, the Kraftwerk rendition has this place in early electronic music. Black were innovators in industrial rock and noise rock.
But of all these friends and lovers, there is no one compares with you.
My Life by the Beatles was originally this sort of somber pop song on Rubber Soul. While the original is certainly introspective and beautiful, Judy Collins takes it to the next level. Judy Collins has an amazing voice and just this really beautiful, graceful quality to her music, and turns it into something that truly feels frozen in time and eternal. It's an amazing example of how sometimes leaning into more traditional elements can make a song even more beautiful.
It's such a perfect day. I'm lost until with you.
Originally, Perfect Day was written by Lou Reed off of his album Transformer. The song is a glam rock banger with this really lush, interesting instrumentation, but of course the lyrics really have this double meaning around Lou Reed's own addiction with substances. And so there's this quality to the original song where it is very lush and beautiful, but it also has this dark twinge to it that is a little bit unsettling, which you find in a lot of Lou Reed's music. And I think it's what is part of what makes him so great. But what's cool about Al Green's reinterpretation of this song is he makes a more rhythmic and soulful rendition of this song and really takes that dark twinge out of it. I don't think you could say anything about Al Green's version is unsettling. He takes this song, which sort of has this dark double meaning, and just really makes it about actually having a perfect day. And I think this is one of the rare examples of where you have a sad song actually turning into a happy song, and I think it's great. Speaking of another band that's very hard to do a cover of, that doesn't just sound like a cover, that would be Nirvana. Even though Nirvana has so many iconic songs, it's very rare to hear a Nirvana cover and not just say, oh, that's a Nirvana cover. Most covers of Nirvana songs don't feel very distinct from the original, but I think one band was able to do it really effectively. And I think that's sludge metal band Thou. I think the reason that their covers of Dive and Blue work so well is because instead of leaning into the pop sensibilities of Nirvana, which most people lean into for covers, instead they lean into the grimy, dark, sludgy nature of the original songs and turn it up to 11. While it's easy to see how you can make a Nirvana song pretty and endearing, I think what's less obvious is how you can make a Nirvana song, more sludgy and chaotic. And I think that's more true to Nirvana's original roots as this very heavy band, and Thou really is able to lean into that. Just Like Heaven was originally written by The Cure, and it's this jangly, goth rock song. It's very poppy, it's very catchy. Dinosaur Jr., this alternative noise rock band, really took and reinterpreted the song in a way that's just as catchy, but in a completely different vibe and a completely different flavor. While the original is a bit baroque, it's sort of angsty, but there's still these elements that are poppy and delicate. Dinosaur Jr. just makes it into this laissez-faire grunge song that really balances twang and noise in a way like no one else but Dinosaur Jr. can. Cure's rendition is the one you'd listen to after prom, and Dinosaur Jr.'s version is the one you'd listen to after blowing up a gas station in southern Nevada.
Shock me!
Shock Me is a pop rock song by glam metal band Kiss. And it is the last song you'd expect to hear slowcore band Red House Painters cover. And I think that's because Red House Painters is sort of known for their prose, dynamic songwriting, sort of intellectual takes on music, if you will. And Kiss is sort of just the classic example of rock pop. While this cover shouldn't make sense, it absolutely does. And they take something that was originally very poppy and fun and turn it into something that's very poignant and beautiful. Perfect song for driving along the coast on a dark, foggy day.
And that I see a darkness, and that I see a darkness, and that I see a darkness.
Johnny Cash is very well known for the covers he recorded late in his life during his American series of albums. Of course, where his cover of Hurt by 9 Inch Nails came from. But there are a lot of other songs from this period that Johnny Cash covered that I think are also really amazing. One of which being by Bonnie Prince Billy and his song I See a Darkness, which is just this beautiful song about having clairvoyance of seeing the darkness in the world and sort of being haunted by that, which Cash covers so beautifully. And I think knowing that these covers were written at the end of his life, which he was very aware of, makes this cover feel very retrospective and intense.
And anyway, I told the truth, and I'm not afraid to die.
But the second cover that I think is really amazing from the American series is his cover of Mercy Seat. Mercy Seat was originally written by Nick Cave. It's this very twisted, dark song that Nick Cave wrote from the perspective of a man awaiting his execution and getting closer and closer to the day. Cave's original version is gnarled and it's sickening. And it talks about this man who's starting to see visions of God as he's getting closer and closer to his death. And Cash reinterprets this sort of sickening, terrifying song and reinterprets it into something that's very reflective and beautiful. I think there's an added weight knowing that Cash was taking the song and reinterpreting it in a completely different way as someone who was maybe not on death row, but was also aware that his time in the world was coming to a close. And so he reinterprets all these lyrics about being cognizant of the fact that he's about to pass away and sort of seeing the face of God through that. And it's very beautiful.
I stepped into an avalanche.
Covered up my soul.
Speaking of Nick Cave, who originally wrote the song Mercy Seat, Cave comes from a long lineage of singer-songwriters who have this most amazing storytelling and penmanship. And this is sort of the case with his cover of Avalanche, originally by Leonard Cohen. Avalanche is a song I would just really describe about bitterness. Cohen's original version has these quick maddening guitar plucking in it with these contrastingly beautiful string sections. And it's sort of this dark storytelling atmosphere that Cohen has that Nick Cave just turns up to 11. The original gives off the vibe of bitterness. Cave's version is about bitterness in anguish. Cave's version is bloody, it's disturbing. And Nick Cave's voice is a lot more emotive and raspy. The original has this vibe of this haunting, solemn story, and Cave's version sounds like a madman crawling out of a car crash. Both versions are amazing, though I think Nick Cave's performance really makes his rendition something worth listening to if this is your type.
I accused him then with his
Another equally disturbing cover of Leonard Cohen is Full of Hell and the Body's cover of The Butcher. The original lyrics of The Butcher are this sort of have these apocalyptic and haunting elements to them, which Leonard Cohen delivers in his very classic singer-songwriter way. But for Full of Hell, they take these apocalyptic and haunting lyrics and push the instrumentation all the way into that direction. Their rendition features elements of power electronics, doom metal, grind metal. It's terrifying, it's really, really heavy. It'll likely be your favorite if you're into metal in any way. But if you're not, this will likely be your least favorite because this is a very polarizing cover. But I think the reason it should exist on this list is that it really takes the song's original subject matter and embodies it in a way that I think no other song on this list really does.
I give her all my love. That's I give her all my love.
Another song by the Beatles that has been reinterpreted a time and time again is And I Love Her. Covers from everyone from Kurt Cobain's very creepy acoustic cover of it to this very upbeat instrumental version by Santo and Johnny. But the one that I think is the best is probably the one that I see mentioned the least, and that's Bobby Womack's cover. And he just brings these layers of richness. The version is grand, it's romantic, and there's just a lot more interesting instrumentation that's brought in with this cover. Bobby Womack and his voice, which he has a great range as well, really just brings a lot of energy into the song. One of the most interesting trends in the 90s was alternative slowcore bands covering Joy Division / New Order songs. One of the most popular examples of this is Galaxy 500 covering Ceremony by Joy Division / New Order. What I love is how they retained Joy Division's sort of original depressive nature that they had in this song and just give it more of a garage rock feel. Where the original version of Ceremony felt sort of like this piece of high art, Galaxy 500's version feels more tangible. I think it's the nature of slowcore, where it sounds like everyone's sort of on downers, that really complements the stark, barren nature of the original Joy Division composition. And we see this pattern again with Atmosphere, which was covered by slowcore band Codeine. Atmosphere is probably one of the most operatic and like otherworldly, atmospheric, for lack of a better word, Joy Division songs. And what Codeine does is strip down this very sort of grand, ubiquitous song and turn it into something that's much more close, warm, and stripped down. This recording and this version of the song sounds like it was recorded by the band after a complete come down of a bender, and just the desperation and beauty that you hear in Codeine's recording of this, I think makes this such an interesting cover.
Waiting for a guy to come and take me by the hand. These sensations make me feel the pleasures of another man.
Notably speaking, Disorder was also covered by Bedhead. While I think this cover is fun, I'm just kind of giving it an honorable mention here.
Golden brown, texture like sun, lays me down. With my mind she runs throughout the night, no need to fight.
And I actually really want to talk about a different cover by Bedhead, which is their cover of Golden Brown. Golden Brown was originally this very strange Baroque pop song by the Stragglers. It's very, very bizarre. It has this intoxicating harpsichord melody that plays throughout the whole song. And while it sort of has this place in time that it can exist in, and while it's certainly a good song, Bedhead reinterprets it into this sort of more timeless, delicate alternative rock song. And I think they do a great way of interpreting something that was originally very eccentric and making it a lot more grounded.
Tell me how love
Another slowcore rendition that I think we just have to talk about is Lowe's rendition of Last Night I Dreamed That Someone Loved Me by the Smiths. The original version of this song by the Smiths is jangly, it's melodramatic. It's a cover which very much sort of has this 80s love story despair to it. And again, it's very dramatic. The Smiths version of this song is very, very good. But what Lowe does, however, is take this song and turns it into this dramatic, hollowed out existential crisis. For whatever reason, Lowe makes this song feel so much more serious. They have this very despairing violin that goes into this greater orchestra. To me, this song sounds like a very real embodiment of grief, but in this really, really beautiful way.
So for once in my life, let me
Smith's cover, which has a completely different angle, is Please Please Let Me Get What I Want by Deftones. The original version of this song is a short, sweet, acoustic, tender song about yearning, which Deftones takes and turns it into this overdriven, angsty, nu metal banger. It's just a complete flip from the original, but in a completely different way from Lowe. And yeah, I think the best way to describe this cover is a banger. This is the type of song you listen to when you're driving around the city late at night pretending to be Batman. It's reckless, it's fun, and it's just an absolute banger.
Here she comes. You better watch your step.
Originally, Femme Fatale was written by the Velvet Underground. The song was requested by Andy Warhol to be written about Edie Sedgwick, and so Lou Reed wrote this song, and it's sort of an embodiment of the messy relationship that went on between Warhol and Sedgwick. And while the original song by Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground is very beautiful and delicate and well written, there's this tinge of bitterness to it and messiness, as it was sort of originally written as a diss against her. And again, similar to why I love Al Green's version of Perfect Day, Big Star's rendition of it just makes this song happier. Big Star does a few different instrumental changes to the song. They give it sort of more of this traditional country rock twang, and they add a lot of sincerity to it. They give the song a carefree, warm vibe that the original just doesn't have.
I first saw you. Your head on blue jeans.
Big Star has also had their song Kangaroo been covered by This Mortal Coil. The version by Big Star is schizophrenic, noisy, folk song with this menacing and terrifying feedback in the background. But This Mortal Coil turns this song and turns it into this somber, grand, atmospheric, gothic dream pop rendition. This Mortal Coil makes the song feel really eternal and like it was written for another world. There's something very elegant and proposed about it, as if it was written for a Shakespearean play. And I think that's part of what makes This Mortal Coil so amazing, is how they have this super, super interesting, rich, unique atmosphere that they bring to their music that really feels otherworldly.
Afloat on shipless ocean.
I did all my best to smile.
And they very much do the same thing with their cover of Song to the Siren. This was, again, originally a folk song, though this one was written by Tim Buckley. And again, they bring their very unique production to this track. This track is sung by Elizabeth Fraser, who is also known for being in Cocteau Twins. And a fun fact about this is that it was one of David Lynch's favorite songs.
I wanna hold the hand inside you.
I wanna take a breath that's true.
One of the more unique covers on this list is Fade Into You, which was originally by Mazzy Star, but was covered by Earth Eater and Sega Bodega. Something really cool about this song is that Earth Eater and Sega Bodega are traditionally more electronic pop artists. And with artists in the electronic sphere, you don't usually hear them covering songs, rather remixing songs. Something really cool and rare to see two electronic artists coming together and making a cover instead. What they do is they sing the song with this heavy vocoder and auto-tune to create this murky digital atmosphere that reinterprets the original song in this very cool way. While guitar music isn't usually covered by electronic music, even rarer is electronic artists being covered by guitar musicians, which is what makes Avril 14th by Yacht super cool. While I guess the original version of this song isn't electronic, it is by an electronic artist, and that being Aphex Twin. This was a piano composition that Aphex Twin created, and what Yacht has done is turned it into this breathtaking, silky, foggy shoegaze cover. Aphex Twin turned into shoegaze very much sounds like the fever dream of someone who has TikTok music brain, but this song delivers. Shoo Shoo is a band that has so many amazing covers. They have a really cool cover of Sharp Dressed Man, which is this neurotic industrial version of the ZZ Top song. They have this sickening and haunting orchestral cover of All We Ever Wanted Was Everything by Bauhaus. And they have an amazing cover of Under Pressure that they did with Michael Gira of the Swans. But I think their most interesting cover, which I would recommend above all the others, is their cover of Only Girl in the World by Rihanna. The original is this electro-pop R&B song, but their cover of it is amazing. It sounds like it was made in a broom closet with a tape recorder, but they're able to retain the original energy and still make it dancey, fun, and interesting, just with this anxiety-inducing and unconventional production techniques. This is the ideal song for a manic and justified crash out, and I love how just insane and crazy Shoo Shoo makes this song while also retaining the fun, upbeat energy of the original.
Jolene, 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 Jolene.
Jolene is the classic country song by Dolly Parton, and Lingua Ignotia transforms the song into this terrifying, gothic, post-industrial melody. The song sounds like you have been struck by lightning and are getting electrocuted as you have been on the shore watching a storm. It's very intense, it's very manic, it's very different from the original. Kristen's intense vocals and intense vocal performance is amazing. It's very unconventional, and then it's paired with this distorted electronic organ that just is thrashing and has this interesting electronic sound to it. It's a very gripping song, and it sounds like vengeance, pain, and anguish. Pop Killer is originally by John Mouse, and the original version of the song sort of has this campy pop quality to it, with these sort of carefree, lush synths that John Mouse is known for, which very much contrast the dark subject matter of the song. But in comparison, the Oko Embo version, Oko's version is dark, sexy, and terrifying, which matches the subject matter of the song quite well. I think both versions are amazing, though the Oko Embo rendition of it formally matches the subject matter in a way that I find a little bit more interesting. Title Fight is probably the newest addition to the long list of greatest rock bands of all time. While they were pretty underground and ran mainly in alternative circles for the first half of their career, now as they've sort of been rediscovered in the internet age, their music is quickly being canonized as some of the greatest rock music ever made. And with no exception to that is the song Safe in Your Skin and Where Am I? And one thing that I love about this cover is that it shows how universal and amazing Title Fight's songwriting really is. Where Tiger's Jaw translates this music into this very beautiful acoustic rendition, it really shows you how natural and beautiful Title Fight's music is able to be translated. I think this cover just shows the complexity and the beauty of Title Fight's writing, and it really is able to show what makes them great as well as what makes Tiger Jaw great. Now, those were all the songs that I considered great. Now at this point of the list, I want to transition into the top 5 that I think are perfect. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Squarespace. As many of you know, besides making YouTube videos, I'm also a small business owner as I'm a clothing designer, and Squarespace is integral to me personally because it's where I choose to host my small business. With Squarespace, I'm able to host all of my products with an online store that I built through their easy-to-use templates. Beyond that, Squarespace helps me manage all of my orders and fulfillment, market to my customers, and easily update my website or products. Whether you're selling physical goods like me, digital content, or services, Squarespace really has all the tools you need to start selling online. It's really easy to get started. All you have to do is choose a professionally designed Squarespace website template with options for every use and category. Then you just customize your look, update the content, and add features that fit your needs. You're able to transform any template you like to stand out online and on every device. Whether my customers are visiting my website on mobile or desktop, I know that they're getting the functionality and experience that I want them to have, and I don't have to worry about any discrepancies between the two. You're able to easily launch your website and get discovered fast with integrated, optimized SEO tools. Squarespace makes my life way easier with its fast, easy, reliable website hosting features and design templates. Squarespace just takes so much off my plate, and it allows me to focus on the things that I'm good at to make my business successful. So go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/KarstenKroning to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. So thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to the list. The first perfect cover song I want to talk about is I Wanna Be Adored, which was originally by the Stone Roses, but then was reinterpreted by the rock band King Woman. I Wanna Be Adored is one of the classics and defining songs of alternative Britpop from the 90s. With such an iconic song, it's a bold challenge to try to take it on and to reinterpret it. But King Woman is really able to take this song and bring a whole new life into it. They take it from this Britpop sort of post-punk vibe into a doom metal, doom gaze, sludge metal epic. This is one of the heaviest covers on this list, but not in a way that's polarizing. The original has this apathetic, maybe lethargic energy to it, and King Woman is able to keep an element of that while also adding this exciting, dynamic energy that the original just doesn't have. There are these massive shifts in mood throughout the song where it goes from lethargic and somewhat down to just really intense, and these waves of shocking energy. At times, the layers of instrumentation that the King Woman rendition has are sometimes lush, other times they're heavy and distorted, and they just keep building up and transitioning from these different vibes. Creates this really potent combination of doom and gloom, but in a way that's exciting and captures you.
I can feel the soil full of my
I Know It's Over, originally by The Smiths, was covered by Jeff Buckley in a studio session. And while we all know Jeff Buckley for his cover of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, which tends to get a lot of praise that is well worth it, my personal favorite cover is this one, which he did of The Smiths. The original Smiths version of this song is very melodramatic and pompous in the way that The Smiths are. And again, I think that's what makes The Smiths great. But Buckley takes this song and reinterprets it and stretches it out from some sort of kind of grand, austere vibe to something that's more delicate and turns it into this heart-shattering piece of composition. His performance really brings out the desperation and melancholy in Morrissey's lyrics. With this particular performance, if you listen to the whole thing, you can tell he's really pushing his own vocals and vocal cords to the absolute limit. There's just so much passion in this cover, and it's just so heart-wrenching and beautiful. Spring is Coming with a Strawberry in Her Mouth is originally a 1981 release from an experimental art pop band called Operating Theater. Operating Theater is a bit obscure. They had certainly had a cult following, and Caroline Polachek really breathes new life into this cover in a unique way that you just don't see very often. What makes it so unique is that Caroline Polachek really updates all of the instrumentation of this song with modern techniques. You don't see a lot of musical artists reaching into the DAW or into electronic instrumentation when updating or doing a cover song rendition. And Caroline Polachek does that. She faithfully reproduces the song, but with modern pop techniques, and just really turns it into a masterpiece of pop music. When I think what pop music should sound like, in my mind, it should sound like this song by Caroline Polachek.
Just like me, they long to be.
Close to You by Frank Ocean. Close to You was originally written by, again, the Carpenters in the 70s. And with this track, Frank Ocean blurs the line between interpolation, reinterpretation, cover, and sample. It could be argued that this song is just an interpolation because he does change many of the lyrics on the verse, but at the same time, he's also sampling a cover by Stevie Wonder of the original. The track really exists in a weird place because in some ways it's a cover, but it also includes a sample of a different cover of the original song. And regardless of how we want to categorize it, just for the sake of this video, I'm going to say it's a cover. Frank uses these really fast drum machines as well as the sample of a different cover of the song to make this such a different and otherworldly version. In some ways, it sounds like a late 90s IDM song. It's very experimental, but not so experimental to the point where no one could appreciate it. It's very, very beautiful. What I think makes this cover so great is how creative it is and how it just reinterprets the original song in so many different ways. The last song I want to talk about as an amazing cover, I want to talk about For Sure, originally written by Midwest emo math rock band American Football, and then covered by Ethel Cain. The original is a pretty short, bright, 3-minute guitar anthem, how summer relationships are sort of coming to an end, and there's sort of the question of, will this relationship last once both of us move away at the end of the summer? Something very sincere and nostalgic about the original. And it's somewhat lighthearted, even though there is this heavy emotional energy. It's about being in high school or college and wondering if this person you're in a relationship with, once they move away at the end of summer, will you still be in that relationship? And there's a lot of innocence and sort of nostalgia to that questioning. It gives this song this sort of suburban American quality that only a Midwest emo song could do. But Ethel Cain stretches this originally 3-minute track out to be a 10-minute post-rock, shoegaze epic. It's the last thing you'd think would happen to this song, but she just absolutely builds this huge, dynamic composition out of the original and turns it into sounding like something more like Have a Nice Life or Midwife rather than Midwest emo. Her cover has this dynamic progression into these louder, just swelling, beautiful shoegaze guitars. And what I love about it is that even though it's more intense and epic and there are these rushing walls of sound which deliver so much emotion, the emotion is kind of the same. There's still this element of hope and melancholy that the original has, though the emotions are just heightened and more intense and epic. This sounds very much like being caught in the waves of the ocean during a storm. It's one of these things that's very equally beautiful as it is intense. It's like witnessing an avalanche, and it builds in such a brilliant way, which is why it's probably one of my favorite covers on this list. Turning something that is small and charming into something dynamic and beautiful and epic and layered. It's really ingenious. And those are my favorite cover songs that you probably haven't heard. So let me know down in the comments, are there any obscure cover songs that I'm missing? And I want to again thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Without sponsors like Squarespace, a lot of these videos couldn't be made. And again, my name is Karsten Craning. You can check out my website down below if you're more interested in my clothing brand and the clothes I'm designing. You can also check out my Instagram as well. But with that being said, guys, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you have a great day.